To Super Happy Dragon Lucky. The show will begin momentarily.
Hello, welcome to Super Happy Dragon Lucky. This is episode 91, 0x91. It's the 147th episode. Reminder, nothing here is or will be financial advice. And stay tuned after the updates for the 3-question AMA, top 3 questions, as long as the rules are followed. This week, updates, number go up. This week is violence and fear. Not much more to be said about that, and we can just try to forget it. Then go straight to Dragonchain updates. We go, I guess first up, I was on a segment on the Sentinel report with Alex Newman. It's actually a really good set of questions. It was pretty cool because it was pretty high level about, what can blockchain do, and I was able to squeeze in some good things that I think would attract their audience. It will start, I guess the interview itself starts at the 16:58 mark, and the link is in the description. Also, in case you missed it, 11 solutions for a successful business blockchain implementation. So Dragonchain's platform of capabilities offers businesses realistic solutions using blockchain for many of their most challenging problems. It's pretty good coverage of various things. There's a lot of things you can do, obviously, with blockchain and therefore Dragonchain. So go share that, go check it out, go read it, research it, share it. Next, in case you missed it also, there was a Deloitte report called the Blockchain Galaxy that I think it was 2020 actually, and it was a nice write-up on Dragonchain's hybrid blockchain platform. We were included in I think there were about a dozen different blockchain networks that were described or discussed in it under the main blockchains, and we were one of them. So that was nice. That was very good. It's on page 12, and the link is in the description. So that's it for Dragonchain. Now we will go to Den.Social updates. First up is the LCP, May 2022 LCP commit phase just finished this morning, and the results are in. So the winners determined by governance vote that you would have the number 1 by unique count, number 3, and number 5 by lore committed. So the top in unique voters was India. That's been climbing for a long time. So congrats to India. 2.1 million lore committed. So 2.1 million NFTs will be created. There were 75 unique voters. That the layer was proposed by VKB in January of 2022. So it didn't take that long. That was pretty good. Number 3 most lore committed was Japan Layer with 2.2 million lore committed and 52 unique voters. YMDRGM, Yum Dragum, maybe, proposed the layer in October of 2021. And so yeah, that's been riding there for a while, right? It's been moving around. It almost won a couple of times, I think. And the number 5 most lore committed was the GNU Linux Layer with 1.6 million lore committed and 32 unique voters. It was proposed by Distant in January of 2022. It seems like it was longer ago than that, but good. And thanks everyone for taking part in that. I do believe that they will be created by next Monday. And if you want to participate, if you want to create any of the top 5 runners up and there's a price that's set. You can look at documentation. It's essentially 200 matter all the way up to 1,000 matter, depending on the ranking. Or if you want to create any of the other layer proposals that have more than 8 or more unique voters on them or committers, that's 2,500 matter, and you will have to fill in the form, contact support, fill in the form by the end of the weekend. So I think before next Monday is when just get it in soon if you want to do that. So that's it for LCP. Tune in tomorrow for Coffee with Den. Always a good show. They get to go over a lot of different things with Den. And then on Thursday, we have the DenDAO meeting, which is a live call. That's at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, 7 UTC. And there's a post in the DenDAO layer with the agenda and a link to join live. Feel free in the replies to that post to propose other things that we might want to cover, changes to the agenda, things like that. You're also welcome to join. Anyone's welcome to join. There's a link in that post, and don't be shy. It's a meeting. It's just a meeting about Den and about what's coming next and what needs to be done next, and issues and features and demos and whatever makes sense. So this week it might be useful to tune in. It might be really useful if you could join, because we will probably be going over closing out the direct messaging features and moving into what's next. And there's a whole variety of possibilities. So we might spend some time actually drilling down into some of the proposals for next steps, where we might consolidate some of them, and just get some thoughts. And, if people have questions on them before they vote on that upcoming priority vote for DenDAO. So that's it. So that's it for Den. Now we're going to go to World Blockchain Roundtable updates. This Thursday is episode 52. Yes, it will be the 1-year anniversary. I don't know if we're going to do anything special, but it is Web3 culture wars. I'm not even sure if I completely understand the topic, but maybe I'll understand the questions. But watch and share last week's freestyle episode. The more views it gets in this first week, the more all the participants will get. It was a good show. We had a lot of good discussions, and I think we didn't get through too many questions. So the people who ask questions would probably stand to get more lot than normal, maybe. I think that's it. But watch the roundtable this Thursday at 3 p.m. UTC, 8 a.m. on Thursday, 8 a.m. Pacific. That's it. So AMA right after this.
Now, more than ever, our data is at risk. Our supply chains are in jeopardy. Our systems are broken, and businesses feel powerless. Dragonchain gives you a different way, a safer way, a better way, and you have power over your data. Dragonchain gives you proof in an untrusted world. Build now at Dragonchain.com, America's blockchain.
Okay, so now we refresh the screen, get the latest vote tallies on the questions. We'll get to top 3. Remember the guidelines. Always remember the guidelines. Okay. Top question. Okay. Top question. Ananda. This is a good question. Does Dragonnet have failed transactions like other blockchains? I suppose, like say, that the verification process moves from the business blockchain level 1 all the way up through level 5. So it is possible that any of those nodes could fail, but the business blockchain side itself has code in it to request a verification if one fails. So if a node were down or failed in the middle of process, then the business node would request another match for essentially to complete that verification. And so yes, it does have failures, but they automatically complete. So I guess if you were talking about, like, say for Ethereum, that and people know this a lot, that if I call a certain contract and when I call it, everything's great, but right at that moment, gas prices go up or something, that oftentimes your transaction will fail in the middle of the contract call. That can even happen on SINs. I'm sure most have that if you're sending a token or you're sending even ETH, that if you put not enough gas in it, it will fail and you will lose what gas you put into it, even though the transaction didn't complete. So that might be a clear difference, that essentially you don't pay for failures. Like, say if a verification node fails, it's on them. You have to spend a little more time to get a new verification. But generally, and I think I would assume the most likely failure point would be the level 2s, because there are more of them, there are more calls there, and they have to do a slight bit more work than the other verification contexts, depending upon how many transactions you have in a block. But it would essentially just I guess retry with a different node and you'd be fine, and you wouldn't notice, other than it might take a little longer to see your verification go all the way through. A few more seconds maybe. So that was a good question. Thanks, Ananda. Next, IM4IM. Question: how does the development work for Den funded? How and who pays the devs? Where does the money come from to pay them? So right now it's all generally all paid for by, and I say not all, but it is generally all paid for by Dragonchain, which is why Dragonchain owns a decent proportion of Den. And but there are other forums and there are other groups that do contribute to what would normally, I guess if it were not a DAO, if that the project would need to pay for. So and there's a lot of that. In fact, I would even say probably that a lot of the work done by denizens is essentially what a normal company would have to pay for. And it's kind of that's the whole point of the system, I guess, is that the evaluation effectively makes it so we generally don't need moderators, right? I'm sure at some point there might be some level where we will have to add probably extra power to denizens, or potentially even have things that we're considering, like say with DenDAO, where we would probably elect some form of leadership, whereas right now we don't have any. Everything's kind of like, oh, here's a vision. Anybody can propose something. I could get hit by a bus and it wouldn't matter. You guys would still keep doing the things. But, essentially, there are some functions and some communities as well that might have things they do with money, as an example, that they would want to appoint a set of leaders with a multi-sig wallet or something like that. So we're going to probably see a lot of experimentation in there in the coming months and years. hopefully that was good. And we, by the way, I guess the other piece is at some point Den should be able to afford its own bills more readily, and that we probably will see at some point where we are, that is, the DAO is going to be paying outside developers to produce features. Which, by the way, if any of you have any development skills or have any desire to contribute in that way, you're always welcome to do it, and there might be some reasonable ways to that the DAO could compensate. So always let us know if you have any ideas. Okay, next, Crypto Curious. I heard a critique this week that said that crypto is venture capital looking for an exit strategy. What is your response to this in regards to Dragonchain? So I'm not certain if I totally understand what is meant by that. If it is that typical to a startup, that crypto is essential, maybe each project is essentially just looking to be bought out, or I don't know. I would say there's a lot going on in crypto that is not necessarily philosophically aligned with what the technology was sourced from. But that doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just it's hard to interpret, because sometimes people think, oh, it's all this libertarian thing, but it's not. That there are a lot of projects that are, they have a ton of money from a bunch of banks and VCs, and they have some algorithm that might work while they have billions of dollars to support the algorithm, but that also, is a honeypot. If they have billions of dollars to keep an algorithm balanced, that means that there's billions of dollars reward if you can successfully attack that algorithm. So there are a lot of things like that I'm not interested. In that example, I didn't even pay attention to until after it happened, when it became interesting. But because I think there are better ways to do stablecoin, for one. But I guess there are, and I don't even know, maybe you're even meaning to bring up that, there's a lot of venture capital, because early on in 2017, venture capital realized they were losing their shirt, that the amount raised through venture capital dropped drastically and crypto overtook it. And then surprisingly, somehow, it was a very interesting coincidence, but all of a sudden the SEC started coming after all of those groups that were doing token sales and ICOs. And yes, if Bitcoin were the disruptor and the thing to scare all the banks, and therefore the banks got involved as much as they could with the dev team and with owning any bit of infrastructure they could and fractionalizing it and bringing it in-house into the banks, not so good, in my opinion. And if that were the case, that VCs were the equivalent for altcoins, that they realized, oh, we can come in and essentially, and I would imagine a lot of the NFT projects that, what's the word I want to use here? Because I want to be polite, but there are, everybody knows. It's like in the eye of the beholder, of course, but to say that some of those NFTs were worth what was being spent is pretty silly, just because the tech, it wasn't there, the art wasn't there, and the utility wasn't there. So that stuff tends to kind of work itself out, but it's unfortunate, because then when legitimate projects try to do things, it makes it harder. and that's where we are with Dragonchain, that I think everything that we're trying to do is focused on the fundamental utility, and some people might get upset occasionally that we focus more on that than on hype or other things that might tend to draw a number or a chart in a certain shape. So that's not why we're here. Now, that's open. You can do whatever you want with that stuff. But what we're trying to do is build this fundamental real thing and partner with other people that will be building that thing. So as to Dragonchain, that's a big part of it. You know, something that came up recently that I had not even really thought about, and I failed to mention it anywhere else, is that Dragonchain from the beginning has never had any what I would call big money players. You know, we didn't have any of the big VCs. We didn't have any of the big VC firms. We didn't have any billionaires. We didn't have any millionaires that were, like, say, in the community, or that behind the scenes came in and said, okay, you guys put this out and I'm just going to buy some of these and we're going to work this out and I'm going to put in liquidity and I'm going to get the exchanges. We had none of that. We didn't have that at all. And it was really weird because I never thought that was missing. I just thought, okay, we're going to build this. It's yes, there's a community component with running the blockchain verification nodes, and there's a business component for enterprises and startups and games and other use cases. And seeing how a lot of the other projects work, and especially when you really see them do the post-mortems on some of these projects after some major attack, I always have to question, like, wait a minute, how the hell do they have $1 billion in their treasury? It's like, where'd that come from, right? And not all of them are that way, but I would say the vast majority of those projects that have those very large treasuries, and that you guys would wish Dragon was, that is entirely because they have some big name player behind it who is drawing off a lot of money the whole time. I mean, they're not doing it just because they love crypto, right? They're doing it because there's a way for them to pull as much money offshore as they can, or whatever the hell else they do. So anyway, it's all crazy. That's where I stand with regards to Dragonchain with it. Fundamentals will rule the day in the end. It's just nobody knows when the end is. So that's it. 3 questions. And thanks, guys. Those were all really good questions. So mugs 2022, 10% off all mugs on Dragonchain.Store. And that's all, there's a good variety. I still want to create some more. We haven't had time. We've been pretty busy the past couple of weeks. And in closing, watch Super Happy at Dragon Lucky again next week. Make sure you share this episode if it makes sense. And follow Dragonchain, Real Denizens, and Jojo Row on Twitter and Den and everywhere else. And make sure you like, comment, and share. And I think that's it. Thanks so much.
Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best.
Adaptable, all capital, label radical yet rational. A tactical approach is palpable if this animal is fallible, but that conclusion is laughable. So with for all detachable from the mandible, you see it now.